Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. Well, guys, I told you I'd have a guest on this week, and we're talking about clones. So I figured I'd just bring in my resident expert on Delta Squad, Mr. Grayson from MortisFM. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How about you, sir?
Doing all right, man. Just trying to stay busy on this side of the Dune Sea. So
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I feel you. It's over here in the outer rim. It's never a dull day.
yeah, it's always something, man. Always something. So for the kids at home, before we jump into this, we are talking about Bad Batch versus Delta Squad. It's a series that I've been doing on my channel over the last month or so, and it's all knotted up 2-2. And the tiebreaker is going to be this team battle.
Mm,
So let's get into it. Hey
yeah.
Chewy, do me a favor. Punch this thing. Let's get into it. All right, Grayson, let's get into it. So,
Sure.
starters, I've got Hunter going over on Boss,
Hmm.
Tech and Echo going over on Fixer, Sev going over on Crosshair, and Scorch going over on Wrecker.
Okay.
Think I got it right?
I so the one question I have
Mm-hmm.
with the Tech and Echo over Fixer, is it them together or is it just like Echo is was against Fixer and Tech is against Fixer, or is it like a two?
It's them two. It's them two together because the way that I figured it is Tech and Echo have a lot of the same roles
Sure.
in
Yeah.
in in Bad Batch, so I kind of just melded them into one team going up against Fixer, and I did bring that into account that okay, I think Fixer might be able to take out one of them, but he's not going to be able to take out both of them.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I especially what we see with um, Echo in the final season of Bad Batch when he's on Tantus and he's just mowing through those guys. Yeah, I think that's pretty astute. So I think yeah, definitely there. I think you pretty much and you had Sev over Crosshair.
hmm
Okay.
and my reason for that is because I think Sev's got this kind of goes across the board
Hmm.
for Sev and Scorch.
Hmm.
They kind of have a psychotic level to them
Sure.
that the other two don't.
Yeah.
In my Sev versus Crosshair video, I literally said Sev would blow himself up to kill
Yeah.
Crosshair.
And that's also a good point because like how I've always viewed it, Cole and I have actually talked about this because I was curious. I was like, Sev, they're both obviously the snipers of the team, but Sev is almost like this blend between Hunter and Crosshair because he's also like this
Mm-hmm.
predator, like he's like this predator, like he's able to stalk and be stealthy. And while Crosshair is a better, I think, an absolutely better
He's a better
shot and
shot.
marksman for sure, Sev is more well rounded, and so I think you're right. I think pretty much in all of these, the only one that's tough is Scorch versus Wrecker because Wrecker's physical. I mean, he has like
Mm-hmm.
Colossus X-Men strength.
Yeah.
So
With
that's the
that
only one that's
one,
tough.
yeah, the reason that I've got Scorch over Crosshair is because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but he's the only one that we see in canon, right?
We the He's the only one in canon that we've seen do anything because they show up in Clone
Mm-hmm.
Wars, but they just kind of are like, yeah, we got the lightsaber,
They're
and then
kind
they
of there.
leave. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They don't really do anything.
So the reason that I put Scorch over Wreckers because we've seen Scorch solo the Bad Batch by
Hmm.
himself.
Yep.
We've seen him do that
And
in
and he
canon.
gives the
So
batch a run for their money. I mean, like it takes them a
mhm.
lot to take him down.
And it takes their two best fighters in my humble opinion, to take him out at the very
Right.
end of the series.
Yep,
So
that's a great point. Yeah, I think you nailed it then. Because I think you're right on, especially on these one-on-ones. Yeah, I completely forgot about that as well. So, yeah, I think you got it right, man.
yeah, and the thing with Boss versus Hunter, I just like that one was really a coin flip for me. I kind of
Mm.
went Hunter just because I like Hunter more. I mean,
I think
that one I can admit it's more of a coin toss.
Yeah,
So
I think so. I think with Boss, I think he is a better tactician and leader, but Hunter as a fighter overall and with his enhanced senses, I think gets the one up on Boss.
mhm.
And it obviously doesn't help that we've not really seen them do anything in canon. That being said, I feel like if what we see with like Scorch is the demolitions expert, yet we see him going crazy in hand to hand combat. Um, so I would think I would think that all of them are kind of on that same level, but then again, like I mean, Hunter and Echo especially are also just as good, if not better. And they have
Mhm.
kind of especially with Hunter, he has those enhanced senses, and yeah. So I think you're right. I would agree with
Mhm.
your. Some of these are close, but I on one-on-ones, I think I would concur.
And if you noticed, I didn't put Omega in any of these battles,
Yeah,
and I'm not going to put her in this team battle either. Because here's my thing: if this is an actual one on one like team battle, the Bad Batch wouldn't want her in there because
yeah.
can she handle herself? Yes, but at the same time, they're not going to want to. They're not going to want to have to think about protecting her while trying to fend off four savages
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
that's what Delta Squad is. And before we go into it, I just want to like make this point. If it wasn't for Delta Squad, we wouldn't have the Bad Batch.
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure. They were the
that,
original
like
template.
they're and honestly, if you go down the list, they're literally like that's the reason I did the matchups the way I did. They're literally carbon copies
Yes.
of of each other, just with more character development.
I think Delta Squad is to the regs as what Bad Batch is to, well, I mean, I guess there's not really any other genetically modified clones, but they are. I mean, it's. I've always heard that they're kind of like the Ninja Turtles, and I think especially with the colors that you get
Yeah.
with Delta Squad for sure. Other than maybe green, I guess they don't really have a blue member, but yeah, I think Delta Squad is more of a uh, practical classic squad, whereas I think the Bad Batch are the wild cards. That's kind of the whole
Mhm.
thing. Is they're the thing you don't really expect, the ace in the hole, if you will. So, but they
That's
both have
and
qualities that it makes it tough.
that's why I wanted to do this because like when I first started doing the series of videos, I was thinking like I was going through like what videos could I do, what videos could I do. Then it just hit me. I was like, wait a minute, let me just do these two squads because they're basically the same squads. Just Bad Batch has got powers and
I mean,
Delta Squad doesn't.
truthfully,
And
when Bad Batch was coming out, I would have put money on the fact that I thought we were gonna have especially when we saw Scorch in season one. I was like,
yeah,
okay,
going into season three, I thought we were gonna get like I honestly thought we were gonna get like once we got the when we I almost said uh Exegol. Once we get the
oh
Mount Tantus,
yeah,
uh I was thinking we were gonna see that fight. Like
yeah,
we were gonna see Delta Squad and Bad Batch go
yeah.
after each other.
And they
But
kind of even do that with those other like Imperial clones, where they're like like they're like,
and they
but
just
yeah,
that's more of a the thing that that's another thing that kind of got under my skin during that because the whole season they're hyping these unnamed clones up like they're these like mega assassins.
Yeah.
And the Bad Batch just runs straight through them.
I
Like,
mean, well, uh, in the final episode, they do kind of wipe the floor with the Bad Batch until Omega comes in. Like Omega kind of sneaks
yeah,
up on them. I mean, they do like they, especially with because the only three that go in are Crosshair, Wrecker, and Hunter, and and Echo is roaming around the base. Um, it's really not until Omega and Echo come in to save them. I mean, they cut off Crosshair's hand and then they kidnap Wrecker and Hunter. So, I mean, they're on an even playing field, but they definitely weren't as maybe up to snuff as the Bad Batch. They didn't have family, as Dominic Toretto from Fast and
yeah,
Furious would say.
yeah. And that's actually, I know you're joking there, but that's I think one of the bigger things that distinguishes Bad Batch to Delta Squad because Bad Batch is good. They're going to protect each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to protect each other. With Delta Squad, I just feel like I don't feel like that they've got that. Oh, I'm going to protect Fixer or what
I
have you. I think they're just going to like they're going to go after their target and kill them however they need to.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is a level of family there. Like in the opening of Republic Commando, um, Hanwei says like these are your brothers, and you will give your lives, um, if need be. And at the end of the game, when Sev is killed, um, or goes missing, it's kind of up in the air exactly what happened to him, and we maybe never find out. But they do like Scorch is like, no, we need to go save him, and the guy that gives them their orders is like, listen, like you cannot go back for him. We need to get out of here. And they all want, other than Fixer, because Fixer is very by the books. Scorch is the one that's like, we need to go back for him. So there is a little bit of family there, but again, they are more Republic and eventually Empire oriented. So yeah, I think especially because the Bad Batch are more on the fringes of the Republic, and then of course end up not being part of it, or when it becomes the Empire, and they get that time out doing their own thing. Um, Definitely gives them a strength, especially when you have Omega in the picture. So yeah, it's that is an interesting aspect, though. I didn't actually think about that.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Okay.
So let's just set the battle. It's let's say it's on the training grounds at at uh
Camino.
at Camino.
Okay.
Let's say it's in those training grounds. How do you think it goes?
That is really tough. I think the commando. So we've seen both. I mean, they both use those training rooms. I think that they're gonna know what they're up against. Um, Obviously the batch is a little bit more unconventional. I think the first thing that happens is they're going to read up their skills and be like, listen, Crosshair, like Sev is immediately going to analyze like, all right, Crosshair is a better marksman than me, so I am not going to out marksman him. I will do what I need to, but the way to get him is get close in a fight. And I don't think the batch will be planning on that. I think the batch is probably going to think that Delta Squad is confident and they're going to try to just prove that they are better. Especially Wrecker. Maybe not Hunter, but I do think initially that is the case. I think it's so hard to say. I think Wrecker is just going to go all in. I think he's going to be the distraction. I think they're going to try to not outplay any tactics or anything, and I think he's going to try to be quite literally the tank, and try to take a lot of the heat to try to draw the batch out. So I really do think almost Sev and Crosshair will be isolated. or at least I think Sev will be trying to single out Crosshair, while Crosshair might be giving the batch cover. Um,
Hmm.
I do think it'll come down to um, Fixer and Boss being I think they're going to parallel what Tech, Echo, and Hunter will be doing. They're
Hmm.
going to be
I was
kind of
thinking
the
that same thing.
full frontal assault. Like I think the main firefight is going to be between them. Um, I think Scorch might try to use explosives to also draw them out. So he'll kind of also be inadvertently like a counter. Um, so that's at least what I'm thinking initially. Um,
And I could see, to your point, I could see uh the batch using Wrecker literally as a tank to try to like
I mean,
draw everyone's
because there's
attention
that
to
whole. I remember
Wrecker.
there's that thing in Clone Wars season 7 when Wrecker uses the thing from the ship to like as like a shield,
Yeah.
right? Against the droids. I definitely see him doing that. Um, I think what will end up happening is when Sev singles out Crosshair, Hunter is going to notice, and I do think Hunter might dip out and let Wrecker, Tech, and Echo handle Fixer and Scorch, while Boss, not Boss, while Hunter goes to help Crosshair with Sev, because again,
Hmm.
I think they're the meshing of the two. He's like, listen, no one's beating Sev in a hand on hand fight unless probably me, because I think Wrecker would still get
Yeah,
kind of
because
annihilated.
I think when it comes to hand combat with the Bad Batch, Hunter is the best hand to hand combatant
Mm-hmm.
in the group. So
100%.
it would make a lot of sense for him to go up Crosshair because Crosshair's better at long range.
Yeah.
He could probably hold his own in a hand to hand combat because they're all elite commando clones.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably pretty good wherever the fight takes place. But to your point, I think in a hand-to-hand combat situation, I think Hunter might take it. So with that
Yeah.
said, who do you think's the first one to drop here?
Oh, the first one to drop. Um, Probably. So here's the thing: is the Bad Batch just has more in numbers. They have it's five of
It's a
them.
5-on-4 fight.
Yeah, so that already kind of gives them an advantage. I do think I if just kind of visualizing it of like how I would write it or how I would see it happening. I do think I don't want to say Echo. I don't know. I feel like Echo is smarter than that. I do
I
think.
feel like I
Mm,
honestly feel like Wrecker would be the first one to go the reason being is I feel like Delta Squad would zero in on him and say take the biggest threat out first, take
right.
first, and then and I can honestly see like Sev like putting a putting an no not Sev. Wait, yeah, the demolition expert. I'm mixing
Scorch.
names up now. Scorch. I'm seeing. I would see. I can see Scorch like placing a like detonator on Wrecker
Mm,
as he's charging
yeah.
to either
Knock him out or
incapacitated him or
something.
like stun him for a second, and then and then we get a kill shot.
Yeah, I was about to say I think they could even Scorch like planning like a minefield or something. I'm trying to like visualize the battle, like kind of how I see it, because it would be Crosshair, and then Seb would be sneaking around. The three of them, Wrecker going full front. Hunter would eventually get drawn away. I do think it would be Wrecker, and then I do think Crosshair will be taken out as well.
Mhm.
I think what will happen is Sev will take out Crosshair, and as soon as he takes out Crosshair, by the skin of his teeth, Hunter shows up, and so then it's Hunter
And
on
now he's
Sev,
got and okay,
and I do think
so
Hunter would beat Sev because Sev is already kind of given a little bit of a run for his money on Crosshair, but I think Hunter,
he's already fatigued.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Wrecker drops from the explosives, Crosshair drops, Sev drops. So now it's down to Hunter, Boss,
It's still 4-on-3.
still 4-on-3. Yeah. So I think Hunter immediate. I think Hunter then tries to sneak around to get the drop
Mm-hmm.
on Scorch Fixer, and I do think Hunter could probably get the drop on. I think he could get the drop on Scorch as well. I think Scorch will be cocky after he gets Wrecker and will be kind of negligent. And I think he will already be maybe a little bit isolated because he's giving explosive or like ordnance cover. And I think Hunter could maybe get him. Then it comes down to a straight. Then I think it goes down to a 3v3 with no, because Scorch would be down, so it would be 2v.
2v4.
Who am I missing right now? Why am I blank? Because Crosshair's done, but Hunter
Okay. All right. Pause.
and Wrecker's
Cro-
done. Wrecker's done. So it's a
yeah, it's
3v.
Crosshair. Yeah. Crosshair and Wrecker are down.
And now Sev is down and Scorch is down. So it's a 2v3. So it would be Boss and Fixer against Echo. Honestly, the more I think about it, I do think the batch would get them in the end. I think they would get them out of being able to be quicker thinkers, and I think they would be able to get them because simply they have one more number. I think if you were to take out Tech or Echo, one of the two, it might be a little bit closer.
So let's do that.
Okay.
So real quick, it's the batch at the end of season 3.
Okay. So it would be no Tech, only Echo and Crosshair. Does Crosshair have the shake?
Actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah, let's say that.
Okay.
He's got the let's say he's got the PTSD handshake.
They fight are not there. Bad Bat or the Delta Squad is.
No, yeah. Those modified like Winter Soldier clones.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, dude. In that context, while maybe one or two of Delta Squad goes down, I think Delta Squad would win because they only had Scorch, and I think those clones that we see in Bad Batch season 3 were just so fresh and so, I don't know, they rushed too quickly. Delta Squad, I don't think would do that. I think what would happen is Hemlock would get kind of panicky, and Boss would be like, let me do this. I got this. And so then, so Boss is like, he's like, okay, Boss, or he's like, RC1138, command, or because he calls him Commander Scorch, but I guess it would be like, Commander Boss, handle this. And so I do think out of all of them, I do think maybe Fixer could go down. I think they could maybe, because he's kind of the most predictable in that way. And I do think I'm not gonna lie, Crosshair would not get his hand cut off. Boss would just kill him. Boss and Sev would just execute Crosshair.
I just in that situation, I'm just thinking, okay, they would, and I think they would have a little bit of a personal beef with Crosshair because of like him, like deserting the Empire and yada 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 yada.
I think the way I see it happening is kind of going in the narrative of what would happen. So obviously, it's Crosshair, Hunter, and Wrecker are infiltrating the base. Tech is already in the base. The fight happens. The Zillow Beast, all of that stuff. I think Echo would. I think I said Tech earlier, but I meant Echo. I think Echo would get the jump on Fixer at some point or another. I think he could, when there's a fight happening, I think he could isolate Fixer and get him out. I think they would execute Crosshair, and Crosshair would just be done. I don't think that's happening. And I think he's just out. Just done. I think they might. I mean, Crosshair might get some shots on him. Maybe Sev or Boss gets wounded. Maybe even Scorch gets wounded. but I think Crosshair goes down. Then I think it is strictly down to Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo behind the scenes. I think you get to that bridge, and it, instead of it being, because Crosshair's the one that has to get the shot. It's Hemlock. He's holding Omega. I just don't think I think without Crosshair, they just wouldn't be able to save Omega. And Omega would get, I think he would either get captured or killed, and I think that would be it. Realistically, not to say that it would be impossible for the Bad Batch to win. I mean, sorry, yeah, I don't think it'd be impossible for them to win. I think there is a chance, depending on what Omega does, and if Hemlock is adamant not to kill Crosshair. But I think the key really is Omega and Crosshair. They're the two.
Yeah.
But I think, because he only had Scorch, and Scorch was at the liberty of Hemlock, and Hemlock got cocky with those other clones. I think it would allow him to kind of cool down, get Omega out of there, let the Delta Squad deal with the Batch, and I think that'd be it, man. I don't know. Yeah, that makes me really sad. I hate saying that, by the way. Like, that makes me so sad.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. Like everybody loves the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I might catch some flack for this. Don't unfriend me, Grayson. I think at some points it might be better than Clone Wars. It might be.
At some points, absolutely. Yeah. Wars. No, I think Bad Batch has some shining highs, especially. No, I think that is a perfectly valid take. Yeah, it's tough because it's so scenario based. Because the way I remember my first idea of when I thought about the Bad Batch versus Delta Squad was, I don't know if you know about this, but the original concept for Seb was that, so what happened in the Republic Commando game, as I'm sure you know, he gets killed or goes missing in action on Kashyyyk.
I need to replay it. It's been a very long time since I played it. I need to get back into it.
And it kind of abruptly ends on Kashyyyk, and Sev is kind of it's kind of unclear what happens to him. But the plan was that he was going to be this rebel clone. They were gonna continue the story, and he was going to be on Kashyyyk working with the Wookiees as a rebel, almost like Rambo, essentially, like clone Rambo. Like he was going to be working with the Wookiees. Hunter. Right? No, literally, exactly like Hunter.
That's that's no Hunter. Like this isn't a hot take. Everyone knows this. He's Rambo. He's literally clone Rambo.
He's got the knife. He's got the bandana. Yeah, it's obvious.
He looks like. I mean, he looks like he's got the hair, everything.
Right. So I always thought it'd be interesting. I'm like, okay, if they had gone that route, let's say canonically, Sev is part of the rebellion, or this rebel guerrilla fighter, and Crosshair is sent to hunt him down. I don't think Crosshair stands a chance, dude. Sev with a bunch of Wookiees in the woods, Crosshair might be able to get him down to the wire, but at the end of the day, Sev is whooping that man. And that's like
what we would call space Vietnam, my friend.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
It wouldn't look pretty.
No, not at all. So it's so scenario based, but then it's like obviously the two popular scenarios would be either the clone training chamber or on Tantus itself. And I think,
and that's why I wanted to do this. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because like I've had fun just doing these, like writing these up and thinking of what would happen. But I wanted to do, actually, I just wanted to do the one scenario, the one battle on Camino, and then I mean that Tantus battle, that you literally just, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So
yeah.
I would think if it was in canon, like you said, I think Delta Squad wins. But if it's 5-on-4 and the Bad Batch have that extra number, and that extra number being a literal human supercomputer,
right?
I think,
people also forget that Tech is the second best shot in the batch. He's an incredible shot. People always, that's why he was able to do that shot when he does Plan 99. I'm thinking even in canon of, like, I think if the batch was, I mean, if Delta Squad was there in season 2, they would have also mopped the floor with
Yeah.
the batch on Iriadu. I believe they're on Tarkin's homeworld.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's truly like it's like, do you have the full roster, or are you going by the lore?
And also something else that you brought up that I thought about when we did like the lore based, like if they're in season 3, like I honestly think Delta Squad would just be fresher because you've got to think at this point in the series they're all exhausted. I mean, they
The batch would be.
yeah, the Bad Batch is they're at the end of, at by the time this mission rolls around in Tantus.
Yes.
I
Oh,
mean, as far
they're
as like
demoralized.
emotion, as far as like emotional fatigue and like mental fatigue, I mean, you you saw one of your brothers sacrifice himself. Crosshair's got PTSD from everything he's done with the Empire. He's not even close to what he's supposed to be. And I
You know
mean,
what would have
Hunter's
been
just trying his best to keep everybody together.
you know what would have been insane, or at least would be an insane team up, and it'll never happen, but it could be cool. Imagine Thrawn commanding Delta Squad. Like
I,
an expert
I don't want
tactician.
to.
Yeah, like if
I
Thrawn
don't.
was at Tantus
I don't.
with the full Delta Squad, the
No.
batch would have never even gotten
No.
into place.
I'm ending this recording right now. We're not having this conversation. It would be Grayson. It would have been a bloodbath, my friend.
Yeah.
It
I don't even
like
I don't even know if it would have been a
Thrawn's
bloodbath. They would have just been taken out so quickly and so efficiently that it would have just been a wrap, dude.
precisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's something that I kind of forget about with Thrawn is just like how much of a tactician that man is.
That
I
is
mean,
his thing, yeah.
he's evil,
Right.
but extremely smart. When my wife and I were rewatching Rebels before the Ahsoka series, the moment in the TIE fighter plant where he's getting people to uh test that one
TIE Defender.
is it a TIE fighter? No, it's not a TIE fighter. Yeah, the one TIE defender that's rigged. I'm like, and he knows it's rigged, and
Mm,
it's just like this man's evil, sadistic, but at the same time, damn it, he is cunning.
yeah.
So it just, yeah, that would be scary
Yeah.
if we got a Thrawn led Delta Squad. That is the stuff of nightmares. So
A Thrawn led Bad Batch would be even scarier, to be honest, but that,
that would
but
I don't but
I think Delta would be more able to listen to um Thrawn's orders, and he Thrawn would also be like, he would know when to be like, boss, you got this. I trust you. You know?
yeah,
Um
like
so
think about I'm gonna throw you a hypothetical scenario
okay.
because this is gonna hit you directly in the feels. What if they're on Lethal during the TIE Defender project? I'm
The
gonna I'm gonna tug at your heartstrings real quick. The Kanan sacrifice play. What happens there? If they're on Lethal, and what do you think happens there? Gonna just tugging your heartstrings a little bit.
so I think,
That's why I asked you that question.
you know what's interesting? I think Kanan would live. I don't think he would have died. I think, and here's why. They Harrow never would have even, they might have gotten out of the building, but Delta Squad would have never have let what Price did to those oil things happen, and Thrawn would have shut that down real quick. Like, he's happy that Kanan is dead, but he's more mad at Price for completely destroying the TIE
Yeah,
Defender project.
because we've talked about, you posted this on your page. It was months ago, and I commented like his Kanan's sacrifice is a literal chain event. If
Yep.
that doesn't I thought about it like that. If that doesn't happen, the rebels do not win.
It
Because
literally, yeah.
if that doesn't happen, Thrawn doesn't get sent out to Peridea,
Yep.
and he's there during the original trilogy.
And the TIE Defender project happens, and because it
Mhm.
is pretty much confirmed that if the TIE Defender program continued to happen, the rebels would have lost because it was a better because Thrawn wanted to do that, the Empire wanted to do the Death Star, and Thrawn was like, we cannot put all our eggs in one basket. You know, having these ships to be able to kind of outmaneuver, like just have superior firepower. Oh, if they would have had both, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would have had both. It would have been over. And Kanan might have lived, but at what cost? You know, the Empire would have been around for a lot longer, I think. But we could have got Thrawn. But then we could have got Luke and Obi-Wan and Kanan and Ezra and all the homies together. You know,
we get the like a Jedi Avenger team.
Yeah, basically. And then they all die. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah,
they all get sent off to Peridea.
Maybe not. Maybe. So, we got a few more minutes. I just want to talk about some Star Wars news that I've been seeing. I don't know if you saw this, but speaking of Peridea and Ahsoka and all that stuff, have you seen the rumor floating around that Natalie Portman might be coming back?
I've seen this quite a bit. Yes, I have a theory / opinion on what it might be.
Bring it, boy. Give it to me.
So the lead rumor, take it with a grain of salt. I'm personally not super convinced.
She's coming back as Abeloth.
So, well, the lead rumor I heard was that she was going to be back as Padme, but I was kind of like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, yes and no. And yeah, I always thought it would be interesting because Abeloth can take different forms for her, much like the sun can take different forms for her to be, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the mother. And that, yes, she would be Abeloth, and it would be this whole kind of psycho and it would also make sense as to why she kind of looks a little bit older. Not that Natalie Portman has aged that much at all, but she doesn't look like she's 21 anymore.
She's aged very,
yeah. So I think she would fit into that role.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was done. I was letting you talk.
So I was talking to Ashton about this, and something that I think would be cool, like you said, since Abeloth can take different forms, she kind of tortures Anakin as the father, like not just taking the form of Padme, taking the form of Luke, taking the form of Leia, and just torturing Anakin as the father. And I'm curious to see with all this, with Anakin taking up that role, if that would have had, if her doing that has any kind of effect on him, with him supposed to be like the balance at this point. So
right, yeah,
I think I would really like to see. I honestly, if they do it, that would make like story wise and actually poetic wise, like it would make sense that Padme would be playing the mother. That would, to me, that would make sense.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm taking it with a grain. I'm taking it with a giant heaping helping of salt, because as much as I would love it, as much as you would love it, as much as everybody else would love it, I just don't trust Disney in the current climate to make the correct casting choice and actually put her in when that's what the fans want. I don't think Disney would make that choice, but hey.
I mean, it's all down to Lucasfilm, really. I don't think the hiring process has anything to do with Disney. Disney is just the people who make
Should I say Disney and Lucasfilm rather? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ahsoka season 1 was cast very well, and I think
was very.
It's not something that you need to have Natalie Portman for that, and it's also not even confirmed if we're gonna have Abeloth in general. Although I probably
It's just
would
a
imagine.
giant rumor floating around.
Yeah, and hey, we will find out in a little less than a month. Well, maybe we won't find out in less than a month, but we will
Very
get
soon.
some teases of Ahsoka season 2 very soon, which I'm very excited for.
You, me, and everybody else. Well,
Yeah.
just wanted to spend the last couple minutes chopping it up on some Star Wars news because that was the only rumor that I've seen.
Yeah.
So Grayson, again, as always, brother, thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming on, and let's not wait so long next time. So
I'm happy to be here.
all right, guys. Till next time. May the force be with you.